Hello everyone, my name is Meghan LeVota and I'm an ENFJ, and today I'm going to be sharing with you some lessons and some insight and some wisdom about life that I have learned from the ESTP. So I'm going to be sharing like some specific wisdom that I've heard from specific ESTPs, and also just some things that I've realized about the way that life works from observing how ESTPs live their life. So the very first thing that I think of is just do it. You know, the Nike slogan that ESTPs are always saying. The vibe I really just get from them is like, if you aren't doing something to better your life, then like, what are you doing? If you want something and you aren't doing it, then I mean, don't complain. Like, don't bother me with it. They really don't mope about things, and it's like they seem to really understand, like, is this within my control, yes or no? If this is in my control, do I care enough to do something about it? Is it worth doing something about? Is it worth the energy, yes or no? If no, then move on. ESTPs are really good at moving on because, the present moment is all you have, okay? And now this is something that all SPs really understand, but specifically, yes, ESTPs understand that the present moment is really all that's really guaranteed. And so they want to make the most of that moment, you know? They aren't going to worry so much about what's going to happen in the future. As long as you're doing the things that are within your control now and you're abiding by your principles, then it's fine. Like, ESTPs are always like telling me, you know, it's going to be fine. Stop worrying so much. Stop thinking so much and just relax. Like, they're almost always telling me that I need to relax. And, something I really appreciate about ESTPs is that sometimes they notice whenever I am getting emotional or out of control sooner than most people would notice. Maybe that's not true. Maybe they just say something and everyone notices whenever I'm emotional, but ESTPs for the most part are kind of plugged in the same wavelength as I am, because we use the same cognitive functions. Even though our personalities might be different, the way that we think and the way that we express sort of comes from the same root. And so a lot of times they'll notice things about me that I don't notice. They'll remind me, take a deep breath. They'll remind me to, stop thinking about that because it's not helping you when you're thinking about it. You've thought about it enough, you've done all you can do, and so it's time to be done thinking about it. It's time to think about something else. And if there's nothing else in your life that you're necessarily trying to control or that you need to think about, then why don't you just go watch TV or go hang out with a friend or go do something? Similarly to me, something I appreciate in the ESTP is that they want to have an impact on their life. They don't necessarily want to be these like big leaders. Not all of them want to be business people. Not all of them like the scope of their impact is going to depend on the person. But every ESTP wants the people in their lives for them to really matter to them. And by matter, the word matter, I think of, extroverted sensing, like actually mattering in the physical world right now. ESTPs, they want to leave their mark on the world. They'll a lot of times care about their legacy. And when they're doing things, even though they might not always have the foresight that an NJ will have with introverted intuition, they're really thinking about if this is going to impact people around them, or they'll do things that will impact their family and their loved ones in their work environment. they have a lot of energy, and I really admire this. And they will just go balls to the wall at whatever they want. They'll just go for it. And that's a lot of courage. That's a lot of bravery. They don't let anything stop them. I mean, I just think of it as like, if this is the ESTP and this is what they want, and there's like a wall in between them, and an NP, like an ENTP, for example, might try and brainstorm over here, how can I get over the wall? Where an ESTP will just go, just like go cut through the wall, and they'll do it. They'll do it if something needs to be done. Now, they aren't going to be super idealistic the way an NF could be, where it's not going to be like a super out there dream, but maybe it's something like their spouse is sick and you have this medical bill that you're unable to pay. An ESTP is going to be like, well, I'm going to have to figure out how to pay it, I guess. Like, they're going to just figure out how to do it. And ESTPs really know how to figure things out in the sensory world. And they are not very easily fazed by obstacles, because they kind of expect, of course, there's going to be obstacles. And, you know, they really are grounded in the reality of things. And so they know that, you know, relationships take work. You know, when you buy a home, you know, obviously it's great to be a homeowner, but all of the upkeep of the house is going to take work. They understand that things take work, and it's almost like they are choosing what they want to work at and what they don't want to work at. And as long as something is within their control and that they've chosen something, then they're completely okay with putting their energy toward it. And they, you know, they don't want to worry about things that they can't change. And they don't like when people are worrying, because they could feel the fact that you're worried. It's kind of harshing their mellow if you could just stop worrying. Like, they don't understand, and they will not relate to people that worry about something that they could have done something to change it. ESTPs do not really get the whole analysis paralysis. Whenever they are worried, or whenever an ESTP is anxious, they're gonna take all the actions that they know they could take and then stop and then relax. Because there's no use worrying about an action that you could take that you aren't taking. And there's also no use, I think that NPs are guilty of worrying about things instead of doing it, but me as an ENFJ, and perhaps other NTJs, we do all the actions that we could take and then we still worry. And ESTPs are always telling me, you've done all you could do, like, relax, calm down, like, you're doing fine. In fact, like, that's the best advice that I've gotten from an ESTP is, you're doing fine, okay? You're doing fine, all right? It's gonna, like, the world's not gonna end. That's, like, the sort of advice that I get from them that I really appreciate. Also, really, some advice really to take from an ESTP is, obviously, life is short, like I said, but are you really appreciating those around you? Because ESTPs know how to appreciate. They might still take you for granted, or they might still not respect you, or all these other things. I don't care. Nobody's perfect. But virtually all ESTPs are going to appreciate what's in front of them, which might seem pretty hedonistic in some ways, but the way that SE and TI works together is like, if it's good food, they're going to really savor every bite. They might eat it too quickly. They might eat it too quickly and then move on to the next thing quickly. But it's like when they're actually eating it, when they're consuming it, they're gonna love it. What's the thing I did? Oh, appreciation versus grateful. Okay. Gratefulness and appreciation are different. I think that ESTPs, they might struggle with being grateful or showing their gratefulness, but when they are consuming, whether that be, I know consuming is a weird word, but it's like, even if they're in your presence, an ESTP is going to completely soak up your presence and truly see you for who you are. And they might not be grateful for it, they might take it as a given or whatever, but they really soak things up. And I, for one, really appreciate that. I think that I love to be seen, and I love for, you know, someone to be present with me. ESTPs don't want to do anything unless they can be present, because there's no use being in your head whenever there's a whole world to enjoy, you know. And also, there's no, an ESTP would also probably say that there's no use thinking about things that you're never going to be able to solve whenever there are all these things here in front of you that deserve more thought. Because as TPs, they're very thoughtful, but they would rather use that thought into, how can I be a better husband or wife or father or mother? How can I be a better employee? How can I be a better CEO? How could I be a better friend? They're going to be focused on, how could I be better of the things that they can focus on. They aren't going to think of like, how can I create world peace, or like all this sort of far off thing. And they don't really see the point in thinking about things that, you know, when that are so far off, whenever they might realize that people don't give enough attention to the things that are in front of them. And they know that, like, unless you appreciate where you are, you know, you can't go off chasing these fantasies, because you're always going to have problems. And unless you are giving your all towards defeating the obstacles that are in your life now, then you aren't going to succeed in defeating any obstacle anywhere else. Whether you have a different job or a different relationship or live in a different city, you're always going to have obstacles. Those obstacles are just going to always change and improve, maybe, or evolve. But if you aren't giving your all towards the obstacles that are in your life, then you aren't going to really solve anything. You're really just escaping reality. An ESTP would advise you to look straight at reality, look at what's going on, and then, do you want to change it? Cool. If you can't change it, can you learn to accept it? Cool. Because that's really all you could do, is either change it or accept it. What's that thing? It's like, Lord, help me accept the things that I can't change, and the courage to change what I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. Is that a prayer? I don't know. Something, that's a quote. I think that ESTPs would probably be very moved by that quote and understand that quote, because they are always trying to know the difference, because they have this full force and this very intense brain, I would say. They're always solving puzzles, and they have all this force that they could solve problems with. They don't want to waste that energy on something that is not going to matter. They want to use their brain power towards something that matters. And that's really beautiful to me. I really admire that, because it takes a very smart person to be realistic with themselves and start with where they are and accept where they are before they move on and before they dream bigger. And yeah, I think that they know how to have fun too. You know, they aren't just overthinking all day. They know how to, most of them, you know, value having a good community, whether that be a group of friends or they're tightly knit with their family. The very mature, evolved, I don't know what other word to use, guys. I know that some of you guys have an issue when I use that word, but very mature, grown ESTP is going to have stronger extroverted feeling, and they're going to use a lot of that force toward making sure that their family relationships are well, and their relationships are well, and that they feel like they fit into a community. And so a lot of times ESTPs are really like the catalyst or the spark plug for change. They aren't really the leaders of the change, but they're the energy behind the change. And that's why, you know, me as an ENFJ, I appreciate them, because I feel like two different expressions of similar energy. I would even say that I probably relate more to ESTPs than any other type, because when you see me, you're seeing my FE and my SE first, because people see the extroverted feelings, or sorry, people see the extroverted functions of people first, and then you notice the introverted ones when you get to know them. But man, I mean, for the most part, I think ESTPs are softies deep down. I mean, everyone really is deep down. Maybe I just like I can understand their emotions better than most thinkers. They just want to be happy, you know. They really aren't asking for much. They really don't ask for much. They're just really low maintenance. They are not entitled at all. Like, they're typically, you know, pretty humble with just either accepting something or taking an action toward it. And, you know, ESTPs, what am I trying to say here? They accept reality. They accept what reality is, and they can be manipulative, yes, but they are not manipulative in the way that NTPs are, where they can sort of play with reality and present it to you in different ways. They're gonna know, like, reality is reality, and be very firm on that. And I just want to say here, guys, everyone thinks that Trump is an ESTP, and he is absolutely not, in my opinion. I promise I am going to make that video eventually, but I'm just sort of, I wanted to say that because I feel like a lot of you guys listening are probably not quite sure what an ESTP actually is. If you're an ESTP and you're watching this, please comment below, because I want to know that you guys are here and that you're watching this. I don't think that ESTPs have gotten a really good reputation in the Myers-Briggs community. In fact, in the socionics community, I've met way more ESTPs, which is equivalent to the SLE personality, sensing logical extrovert. I have talked to way more SLEs than I have ESTPs, because the description is just like better. Like, the description of a SLE, I think, seems more accurate than the description of an ESTP. You know, I have a friend who's an ESTP who, she really just knows how to keep her personal feelings completely out of it. And she cares so much about social issues and about being there for her friends. And something I really admire about her is how she validates that other people are entitled to feel how they want to feel, and she doesn't try and change it at all. And she completely takes her personal feelings completely out of it. And she'll instead ask, well, how do you want to be treated in this situation? And just treat them how they want to be treated. And with the TI, you can use TI to, you know, create a process that is very multifaceted, and not just having like a TE rule that one size fits all applied set of behavior for treating people. TI is coupled with FE, which means it's very customizable towards different sorts of people. Your behavior could change based on who you're talking to. And ESTPs are very good at treating each person that they're talking to as an individual and as their own person, and respecting that. Anyway, I apologize this video is not more concise. I'm sort of realizing as I'm talking that, honestly, most of you guys watching this, if you're anything like my typical audience, is going to be an NP or an NE user, and probably a little unaware of actually how ESTPs actually are. And so I'm finding myself trying to qualify everything I'm saying, because some of you guys might not know ESTPs, or some of you guys might have bad experiences with ESTPs that have diminished your intuition and been like, oh, well, you're overthinking it. And oh, well, you're whatever. And like dismissing you. I want you to know, if you're one of those people that the ESTP that dismissed you was just trying to reshift your focus. They weren't necessarily saying you're wrong. I mean, maybe they do think you're wrong. I don't know your situation. But more likely than not, sorry, the lighting is getting really weird, guys. More likely than not, whatever, the ESTP just wants you to shift your focus. So it's cool, NE users, you can think about other possibilities and all other ideas all day long, but ESTPs are really all about focusing on what matters, focusing on what you can control, and focusing on the areas where you could put your energy and where that energy is actually going to move and create results for you instantly, now. So just try and take that mindset with you. And I'm really curious to hear what you guys have to say about this one. I know I'm always curious about reading your comments, but I'm really curious about this one because I feel like I don't get many comments from ESTPs. If you are an ESTP, say hello, let me know you're here. If not, like, what's your experience been like with ESTPs? Because I think that honestly, they're all off, you know, making the world run, that they probably aren't thinking about this stuff as much unless they have created a balance where they can, you know, have the world run while also thinking about this stuff. They aren't going to think about this stuff unless their world is running, you know, unless they can see clearly how this is helping them make their world run. So anyway, I really appreciate ESTPs. If you're interested in this sort of stuff, please join my Facebook group below, Personality Typology for Self-Growth. I'd love to see you guys in there. We talk about different ways of growing ourselves based on the cognitive functions, and you can meet some people in there that are different personality types than you and talk things through together. Also, yeah, I'm going to be continuing on this series. I'm sorry it hasn't been every single day, but comment below and let me know what personality type you'd like me to do next. And thank you so much for watching, and have a wonderful rest of your day.